Welcome back to Relational Lives. I'm Ali.
And I'm Roz.
And today we're going to be talking about, we're going to be answering the question, am I in an unhealthy relationship? We're going to talk about what that even might be, what an unhealthy relationship might look like, and what can be done to help you. So stay tuned for the top 3 takeaway tips at the end.
And remember to subscribe and follow and leave a 5-star review, because this will help get this podcast out to more people and also help you know when the next episode is coming along.
Why are we doing this? Because we talked about, we did a previous episode, didn't we, on what a healthy relationship looks like.
We did, and I think we thought it would be a good idea to do one on what an unhealthy relationship looks like, and also perhaps in the future we will do one on what a toxic relationship is like, because I think there are differences.
Okay, between unhealthy and toxic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we thought it would be helpful to break this down and look at what does it mean to be in an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, because sometimes it's hard to sort of maybe judge, isn't it? Is this relationship okay? Is it, what am I comparing it to?
Yeah. And we're not just necessarily talking about intimate relationship or relationships. It could be friendships. It could be all sorts. When there is another person involved, and we're going to refer to that person as partner through this.
Yeah. Could be friend, intimate partner, romantic partner.
Yeah.
It could be a business partner, anything, any kind of dyad.
Poly relationships.
Okay, poly as well.
Yeah. I think it's just with another or more person, but when it's an unhealthy relationship. So it's an unhealthy relationship is where the actions are not necessarily harmful, but where it can have an emotional impact on somebody, I think, and their well-being.
So do you mean, because it could be harmful that it has an emotional impact?
It could be, but not intentionally.
Ah, yeah.
I think that's the difference.
That's the difference. It's not like someone is intending to hurt you.
Yes, exactly. So I think that would be the difference with the toxic.
Okay.
I think there can be more intentionality in a toxic relationship.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So yes, where there's not the intentional, of course, yes. Of course, we can be hurt, but I think the difference is in terms of harm.
And it might be an unhealthy relationship dynamic that's playing out, like we'll talk about a little bit about the negative cycles people can get into.
Yes, and that we can all get caught up in, and will always get caught up in.
Yeah.
But I think as we go along, we will work out, actually it's what's then done about it that makes the relationship healthier.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So one of the things that we were sort of thinking about this together, because one of the things we came up with is not being able to calmly discuss difficulties in the relationship. When you feel like you just can't, you're having to keep things to yourself, you know things aren't necessarily going okay, or something's wrong, or you're not happy about something, and you just don't feel able to talk about it. That's one of the things we came up with, wasn't it?
Yeah, not feeling able to share what you're struggling with.
Yeah, you're feeling on your own with it, and you want to not feel on your own with it. You want to be able to sort it out maybe, but just it doesn't seem to work. Or if you attempt to do that, actually, whatever, if there was maybe a bit of a conflict already, you want to kind of resolve that conflict in some way, or you want to sort it out. But when you go to sort it out, the conflict starts up again. It can carry on, can't it?
Yeah, so not being able to calmly discuss difficulties in the relationship is a sign. And not being able to repair after conflict is potentially a sign as well. And what we mean by that is, everyone's going to have conflict in a relationship. You're not going to agree on everything, and
you'll have different opinions. That's okay.
And I think that, going back to what we said before, I think about a healthy relationship doesn't mean one that's free of conflict.
No, in fact, I think you had that. You had that research, didn't you? That said that
the Gottman research.
It was the Gottman research, wasn't it? That it was saying that actually it's a healthy relationship to have conflict. The thing about this is the repair of it. If we're constantly in conflict and there is not a repair, then it's unhealthy. If we have conflict and then we recognise in that partnership, as it were, that things aren't okay, and we're able to then go towards each other and say, look, hang on, something's not okay. Something's not right with this. We need to talk about this. We need to sort it out together. Then that's the sign of the repair, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being able to come back in and take responsibility for each person's part in that. And then also looking at how that impacts the relationship.
Yeah.
Should we say a bit more about that?
I always ask my couple clients, I'll say, how do you repair after conflict? And quite often they'll say, we just wait till it passes, we brush it under the rug.
Yeah, some people have make-up sex. Some people do all sorts of things, don't they? But it's not necessarily actually getting to the root of what's gone on. It might be something that's a very sort of quick sort of fix to try and feel better inside. What we talk about sometimes is calming our nervous system, don't we? Feeling that relief that we're not... we've lost that disconnection and we're trying to get that connection back again. And so I think sometimes makeup sex can be quite a quick fix with that, can't it?
And that's still brushing everything under the rug.
Exactly.
And the more things that are brushed under the rug, the bigger the mound under the rug gets, and the more resentment builds up. And, that's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. And then again, that's not talked about. And then I think, it can be a last straw thing, can't it? That the argument can sometimes end up being over something really tiny.
The dishwasher.
Yeah, the dishwasher.
Back to the dishwasher.
Back to the dishwasher. We've referenced that before in a previous episode. So it can be over a tiny thing, but actually it's been building up and building up.
Yeah.
In transactional analysis, which is another approach, they talk about, there's a theory of talking about collecting stamps. And many years ago, there was something called Green Shield stamps. And now it's a bit like your points card that you have with supermarkets and things. And they use this analogy that each time there was a resentment that was building up, you'd kind of put another stamp in the book. You get another kind of load of points on your card. And instead of cashing it in for something like a toaster or whatever, you'd be cashing it in for a whopping great row, because that would then mean you would kind of be able to air all the things, all the grievances that you've had. But it would seem in that moment so out of proportion to actually all the things that it had built up over the time.
Yeah, yeah. People pleasing and ignoring your own needs and desires. So it might sound like a lovely thing to be people pleasing, but often people will do that at the expense of ignoring their own needs in the relationship or their own desires, or, even thinking about their own part in it.
Yeah.
And you kind of lose that person in the relationship then.
Yeah.
So if that's you and you're trying to please whoever it is your partner is here, that's great, but you're not maybe thinking about yourself in that and what's important for you, what you need, and even asking for that.
And that can then build up inside, can't it, where some of the resentments within yourself can build up, and the other person is asking for what they need and you will feel deprived eventually. And also it's not helpful for your partner not knowing what your needs are. That's not equal, it's not balanced, and it's about how you both show up equally in that relationship. Sometimes one partner might need more support at a particular time, but actually it's about balance and equality. Yeah.
Yeah.
How else might be the signs of an unhealthy relationship?
Shutting down.
Stonewalling. Yeah.
Stonewalling is when you basically have someone in the relationship who just sort of shuts down, and there's nothing, there's just a wall, there's nothing you get back, it's just silence, you're met with nothing.
Yes, and you might want to refer back in that to our episode on an avoidant attachment style, because that can sometimes be the case, can't it? Not always, but sometimes, because I think it can seem that the person who is sort of shutting off and not maybe reacting or responding in any way can be seen as if they don't care, as if there's nothing kind of going on, whereas actually there's a load going on inside, and that there is an idea that you don't necessarily know what to do. You don't know what to do in that moment. So actually it seems as if to avoid that conflict, just shut everything down, don't respond. That probably feels the safest position at that moment. What do you say?
Yeah, I think the still face experiment on YouTube would be a good one to really notice what happens in the body when stonewalling can happen. So I think you just look on YouTube and you can type in still face experiment with Edtronic.
Yeah.
And it's only like a 5-minute video, but it shows a baby and its mother and what happens when the mum doesn't respond and how that impacts the baby's nervous system.
Yeah. It's a painful watch. It's quite an uncomfortable watch, but it does really explain attachment and explain,
explain that feeling.
That feeling, yeah. And also at the end of it where the mum then comes back in and connects, and the relief in the toddler's body, you can see the relief of that reconnection that goes on. Yeah, definitely worth a watch. We can put that into our show notes, can't we?
Yeah. I think you said about this one, indifference or neglect without intentional manipulation.
Yes, I think sometimes in an unhealthy relationship, it's kind of carrying on a little bit with the avoidance. I think that it can seem as if you kind of don't care, that you're not necessarily bothered particularly about what's going on, that there's a sort of sense of neglecting the other person's needs, if you like, but you don't mean to. It's just that you're not really kind of on it. You're not thinking about what they need because it's sort of an easier place to be where you don't, where you just carry things on. I think that's again that sort of neutrality, isn't it? Anything to avoid the conflict.
All right. So yeah, looks like you might not care then.
It looks like you might not care. Yeah. And this is what can happen in the negative cycle, isn't it? Which we talk about in our work as emotionally focused therapists. We think about a negative cycle that can happen in our relationships. Do you want to say a bit more about
the negative cycle?
The cycle it might be helpful at this point.
Yeah. So really, the negative cycle is a dynamic that plays out between a couple. And we can perhaps give the very simple example, a very common example of the more you shut down or walk away, the more angry I feel. The more angry I feel, the more you need to shut down and walk away. So it's that infinity loop that just gets stronger and stronger. And neither of you are in a good place. It might look like the shut down person is okay and calm, but actually they're not. Doesn't care, yeah. But inside, you're probably not.
Yes, probably the opposite completely. Yeah. It's just that you don't know how to manage what's going on. You don't know how to manage the emotions. You don't know how to manage the conflict. You don't know what to do, and so you will have had strategies to manage that. Often that can be distancing, avoiding, sometimes getting really angry, trying to close it down. In terms of the conflict. And so these behaviours that, we're talking about, the signs of an unhealthy relationship, often these can all be seen and put into a negative cycle, into this sort of infinity loop. And the more we understand that, and the more we understand what's going on underneath.
Well, yeah, when you say underneath, you just clarify what you mean by that.
So when I say underneath, it's like if you're avoiding and distancing, actually you're not necessarily feeling completely nothing. You're probably feeling a load of emotions that are going on inside. It might be that you're not necessarily fully in touch with them, but it's kind of what's on the inside of us and what's on the outside. What do we see? If we were a fly on the wall, what would we see on the outside in terms of the behaviours and those what we would call strategies of survival, protections, and what is going on the inside? How are we feeling on the inside? What are we telling ourselves? What are we thinking? And that's all the stuff that's going on the inside. What are the stories and the narrative that we come up with when we see the behaviour of the other? So let's give
an example of it to sort of help just bring that to life a little bit. Mm-hmm. Someone who is just shutting down and going quiet, the other person is seeing that as they don't care.
They might be. That might be one story they're saying. Yeah,
they don't care about me. They don't care about this relationship. We're never going to get any emotional connection. So inside, they're feeling distressed because of that lack of connection.
They're feeling maybe alone.
The person that's shutting down might be feeling like, oh my goodness, this is kicking off. I need to move away from this. This is too much. This is going to get out of control.
I won't know what to do if it
I won't know what
does.
to do. I'm going to fail. I'm going to mess up. Those are common inside
And yes,
feelings.
I'm told I'm getting things wrong all the time. That's another one, isn't
Yeah.
it? So these are the stories underneath that we kind of try and make sense of what's going on, and so this is what we can kind of tell ourselves. And then in order to kind of get away from those feelings, what we will do is the thing that we see on the outside, and that might be the distancing, or from the other side, it might be that the other person keeps coming, you're not listening to me, you're not telling me, you're just not hearing me. I'm telling you that you're not emotionally connecting to me. So as Ali said earlier, the more that happens, the more angry that person gets, the more that feels inside. Oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. The more you will distance. The more you distance, the more the other person feels like you've left them, and they might tell themselves they're feeling alone and rejected, and the more they get angry. So that's a kind of a little bit of an example, isn't it, of the negative cycle.
Yeah.
And so therefore these behaviours of the signs of an unhealthy relationship can be shown in this, can't they? They can be demonstrated in how this plays out when there is something that's not really feeling quite right.
Absolutely. And again, it's the dynamic that's the problem. It's not you as people.
Yeah.
Lack of trust can be a big sign of a relationship not being as healthy as it could be. Like if you don't trust your partner or friend or whatever, that you don't trust that they are there for you, or you don't trust that you're priority.
Yeah. And again, in terms of putting that into the negative cycle, that might come into it, mightn't it?
Yeah.
That if somebody doesn't think that, they can trust, if they don't feel that there's the trust, if there's a lack of trust, how is that dynamic then played out? When that person feels like you're not there, or that they're worried in some ways that, they can't trust you, in whatever way that is, then the negative cycle can be activated.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about my son was talking about someone that they know, him and his girlfriend know. And the relationship is that that one of them is very insecure about the other person being out and about and meeting people. Very insecure, but that's fine to feel insecure, but it's what you do with that, isn't it? If you're insecure and then you're trying to control the situation, don't go out or follow them around, or stop them doing things, or stop them following certain people on Instagram. That's the bit that's unhealthy. That's the bit that's the problem. It's not the feeling of insecurity, it's the behaviour that you do because of it.
Yes, that's a really good distinction. And that's when, we can do things. I think those behaviours can turn into things which sometimes actually you don't really feel like it's you. It's almost like it can take over. So you might start checking the phone, doing things which you don't, you wouldn't normally do. It's not the sort of moral compass, if you like, that you live by. And yet your system is feeling so threatened in some way that's what will happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing is about we talked about this on a previous episode about, again, it's something that's talked about in emotionally focused therapy, about ARE, which is the availability, excuse me.
Which episode did we have this on?
Episode
it was about healthy relationships.
I think it was about healthy relationships.
So just maybe watch that one or listen to that one.
And it's where there's a lack of this in an unhealthy relationship, availability, responsiveness, and engagement. So it's when you're not able to be available for somebody, when you're not able to respond to them, or be engaged, when there's a lack of that, that's going to be a sign more of an unhealthy relationship.
UUD. No, IUD.
I don't know, I'm going to get really confused.
Inaccessible, unresponsive, and disengaged.
Oh, get you.
I've got a new acronym if you haven't got enough.
So is there anything else we want to say about the signs?
No, I think that's pretty much covered everything. So not being able to calmly discuss difficulties, not being able to repair after conflict, people pleasing and ignoring your own needs, one or more of you shutting down to avoid difficulty, indifference or neglect without intentional hurting manipulation, lack of trust or emotional support, and IUD.
Or no ARE. So what can be done to improve an unhealthy relationship?
With couples therapy or without?
Well, we're looking at all sorts of relationships, aren't we? We're not just looking at couples. So
Well, yeah, but friends can go to
friends could go to relationship therapy.
I need to
too.
start calling it relationship therapy rather than
Yeah, I
couples
think
therapy.
so. I think it's more inclusive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So one of the things we talk about is what are you bringing into a relationship? What's your history? Where is this all coming from?
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know, how have you learned about relationships and how to connect or disconnect from people? And so I think looking at your history, looking at your history can be really helpful to see if there are kind of any patterns that are going on. It can be a good start, can't it?
Yeah. So thinking about, okay, what did I maybe bring into this relationship before even I met this person? Or
and that means you're then also, isn't it, that you're taking responsibility in a way for your part in it, not just thinking it's, you know, blaming the other.
Yeah.
And seeing how you can contribute to the unhealthiness of the relationship. And that can again refer to attachment styles. Again, previous episodes worth looking at. And we've done one on a broad one on attachment styles, another on avoidant attachment style, possibly. Anyway, they'll be out I'm not sure the order.
Yeah.
But that's helpful to sort of start recognizing, tuning in, what is your attachment style? How is that impacting your relationships?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if you're able to have a discussion with the other person, and you think that that's going to be, I know it's difficult, isn't it? Because some people are very up for this kind of chat and say, let's talk about this, let's figure it out.
And but that's a sign of a healthy relationship, really, isn't it? It's when they're able to talk about it and do the repair. Yeah.
But not everyone finds that easy.
No, they don't. And understandably so. Yeah. It's not easy. It's not easy being in conflict, and it's not easy then talking it through and thinking about it. I mean, in a way, there are perhaps some people who like conflict, but generally I don't think most people like it. It's just that it happens, and it's how you then manage it and what you then do. So having that kind of conversation and discussing it can be really difficult.
It might be just like, I've listened to this podcast, I've watched this YouTube, and I've noticed there are some signs that maybe our relationship could be better. Could you listen to it?
Yeah. That's a nice way of putting it, isn't it? Because you're coming from the place, I want to make this relationship better. I want to understand why it's not, and I want to make it better.
Rather than, I'm really pissed off, this is...
Yeah. And in that, you're saying, aren't you, I care. You're important to me. I care about our relationship and I want to make this better.
Yeah. And then if possible, I suppose, being able to look at that together, how is this playing out between us? Is it the more you, the more I? The more you shut down, the more I get angry, resentful, the more I shout or yell or whatever. However that plays out, you two perhaps could figure it out.
Actually, another... thing we can put into the show notes is the Hold Me Tight book, which has got it's a book again around emotionally focused therapy or emotionally attachment, really, isn't it? And relationships and how to have better relationships and to have different conversations. So we'll put the link into the show notes because what we're talking about, there are some exercises at the end of some of the chapters, and they might give you some kind of starting point with your partner to be able to work through some of the things that we're talking about. And without therapy, actually, that can be sort of a good start.
They do an online program, don't they?
They do an online program as well. Again, we can kind of put some links in, can't we?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
So if it's difficult to talk about, then these might be additional aids that can help, like Ali says. Maybe just even sharing this podcast and saying, I really want us to be closer together, or I want to sort this out if it's whatever the relationship is and it's not going well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to say about unhealthy relationships? I think just that importance of repair and how to repair is the key, isn't it? How do we come back together when we've lost connection in some way, when we feel inside us that we are not together, things aren't working well?
So how would you, like, you've been married for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You and your husband, I'm sure, have your difficulties.
Yeah, like everybody.
How would you repair? How do you two repair?
I think generally because of it doesn't mean to say that, people in long relationships know how to do this, but I think
but you're the expert, you should know.
I don't know about that. But I think it makes a difference, the fact that I have done a lot of work on myself.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the things we were saying, isn't it? When we've done some work on, when we've been self-reflective, when we take responsibility for what our part is, and I know I can be bloody irritating in the relationship, I'm sure, because we've got very different kind of default attachment styles. So how we will repair is, if there is something that I from my experience, I'm not happy about, I will tend to then say, look, this is something's not right.
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong, and you need to do it my way.
Don't take her advice, everyone.
So no, I will try not to do that, even if I'm tempted to. We could say about the dishwasher again, couldn't we? Actually, we were very even about the dishwasher. But I will want to have that conversation. So I will try and find time. I will also be aware that with my husband, who I would say has more of a tendency to be an distancer, have an avoidance attachment style, that it's picking the right time to have that conversation. So I might want to try and sort it out straight away, help me feel calm and collected again, and have that relief in my system. And what I will be doing is I could potentially say, come on, I need to sort of sort it out now. This is not okay. But actually I'm aware that might not work. It might then create more of a problem, because I might read a signal from his face that he's, what, this now again, or whatever, maybe some kind of signal that I'll tell myself the story that he doesn't care and want to sort this out. And we could get into another negative cycle. So actually by reading him and understanding that it might not be the right time, or even asking, can we talk about something? Is this a good time to do it? And if this isn't a good time, can we make a time a bit later to do this, because there's something that I'm not feeling happy about or comfortable about, or I'm not happy about the thing that happened. And so then we can start the dialogue. And then when we get to the dialogue, it might not be easy, but I think sometimes having a bit of distance, taking a bit of time out from when it's been conflictual or difficult, can actually help us kind of connect with ourselves a little bit more again, in order to then have that conversation in a less escalated state.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is that a good answer for it? Have I missed anything?
It was a long answer.
I'm sorry.
No. So it's making sure that you choose a time, or you ask and you say, is there a time we can sit down and have a chat?
Yeah.
And then being able to bring up what your struggle was.
Yes.
And hopefully being able to talk about it together.
Hopefully talking about it together, and leaving space within that discussion to hear each person's experience. And I think that listening thing, that sort of what we call in therapy terms, that sort of active listening, is really important. So it's coming with a intention that you want to try and understand, that we want to kind of feel close again. And so therefore it's important to listen to the other person's experience as well, because we can then sometimes be set off. Like if they're saying their experience, we can then take that in again, and that cycle can start up again.
So it's being able to listen, isn't it, to the other person without having in your head what you're going to say next in response to that.
Yes.
Like, I'm listening to you and I'm trying to understand what this is like for you.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to you with a view to, I'm going to give you my point of view next because I don't agree with you.
Exactly, because you're then staying in that stuck position where you're not reflecting on yourself or being open to the other person's experience.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's an exercise, isn't there, that you can do where you're actually...
I hate that exercise
too, but I think it can be done in a way that isn't ridiculous. I think it can be done in a way that I just need to check out. Can I just check out? Is this what you're saying?
Yeah.
You don't have to say, you're saying this, this and this and this and this with a nodded head. No, it's about just clarifying and making sure you've understood. And by having that notion of being able to clarify and understand, not only are you understanding it for yourself, you're also hoping that the other person feels understood too. And it can help you then move forward. Yeah. So I don't think these things have to be done in sort of sickly counsellor-y kind of ways. I think they can be done in a very real way.
Okay.
That's meaningful.
Thank you for sharing your repair.
Sorry it was so long.
Okay. We, as ever, have our takeaway tips, 3 takeaway tips.
Yep.
And the first one is a journal prompt. So we talk about journaling. It's basically reflecting, but writing down, because there's something about the process of writing down your reflections rather than just keeping it in your head. And the journal prompt is, choose one relationship to focus on. And are there any signs that we've mentioned or that we haven't that you notice as unhealthy? Write these down.
So from the signs that you then recognise as unhealthy, which ones of those might be related to you and your own difficulties as an individual and might predate the relationship that you're in? For instance, being a people pleaser in general, you might have always struggled to talk about sex, for instance, not being able to assert yourself, easily angered by things. By noticing what sort of predates the relationship, what's a pattern, that can really help give you information about taking responsibility for your part, your contribution in the dynamic.
Okay. And takeaway tip 3. This is going to be individual to each of you. So if you have a partner who you could sit down and discuss this with, please do. Maybe share this podcast first. So, if you've both listened to this podcast, it's a great start because then you've got something to sit down and talk about together. And then if you can, take some time with your partner and share what you've noticed isn't working in the relationship. Let them know what you're aware comes from yourself as an individual, but also recognising that it's your fight for this is about the importance of this person to you. The relationship is how important this relationship with them is to you. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be here listening to this or talking to them about it.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully there are 3 tips there that can help you think about what your relation, the condition, if you like, of your relationship and how to improve it if you think that there is an element or that it's an unhealthy relationship. And we will meet again for another podcast in a week.
And we're going to be doing one on what's more of a toxic relationship at some point.
Yes, we will. So subscribe, follow, 5-star reviews. It helps us get this out to more people, which is what we want to do.
Yeah.
And we'll meet again.
Thanks, Roz.
Thank you, Ali.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.